Welcome to Sexy Sunday, where we analyze sex scenes from films and TV shows, discuss what they tell us about the story, the characters, and more importantly, whether they're hot or not. I'm Jessica.
I'm Anouchka.
And this is Sexy Sunday.
Today we're talking about Weeds, which is an American television series created by Jenji Kohan, aka love of my life, that aired on Showtime from 2005 to 2012. It follows Nancy, who's a suburban mom whose husband just died, and she's raising her two teenage kids, and she starts dealing weed to make ends meet. And it's my favorite show. Very excited. So Jess hasn't seen it.
No.
She's missing out big time, but whatever.
It would stress some of those scenes that you sent me, because stuff like Good Girls, like I can see the enjoyment, but I wouldn't. I just
you
sometimes
wouldn't
I need
enjoy
to watch
it.
TV.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, when I watch TV, I want to be like, the world is great and lovely, and not a dumpster fire that it actually is.
That's so fair. And I know some other people who are like, I can't watch Weeds because it depresses me, because it's just like, and it's so weird because so many things give me anxiety. Like literally everything gives me anxiety in life. And for some reason, I find Weeds just so funny that I'm like, no, this is full on comedy. And it's like, it's really not. But I'm just like, no, it's so funny that it takes over.
Yeah. I guess like from the scenes that I've seen, so I've literally just seen Weeds through the sex scenes.
Yeah, not even all of them, just some of them.
Which honestly, I must say, I really enjoy just watching TV series through the sex scenes.
Yeah.
It makes it for a completely different show. And I'm just like, oh my god, this is such a sexy show.
I mean, to be honest, it is quite a sexy show.
It is! Oh my god, some of those scenes.
So, just based off the sex scenes that you've seen and the number of them, how many sex scenes do you think there are? So bearing in mind there's 8 seasons and 102 episodes. So that's quite a lot.
Yeah. 45?
I counted 53.
Ooh, I feel like I wasn't too far off.
Yeah, you went far, yeah.
Sometimes I've been really like far.
No, you did really well.
Some of those scenes I was really surprised at how, hot they were. Not hot, but explicit. And what did you say? It's Showtime.
So I think when Showtime signed them, they were like trying to really be HBO's biggest rivals.
I was literally just about to.
It feels like an HBO show.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say it feels very HBO-esque.
Yeah. Well, Jenji Kohan took it to HBO and they didn't want it, so then she took it to Showtime and they said yes, and then they obviously did it for 8 years. So, what did you do, HBO? That's the question. Why would you do this? So let's start with the kids, which is lovely to think about. I didn't actually send you. Again, there's so many scenes that I've not sent you because there were literally so many that I was like, this is insane. And I've sent you about 40, I think. So that was.
Yeah, you sent me so many videos.
Well, your impressions on Shane, the youngest boy.
He's gonna have a lot of issues when he is older. Yeah, he gets desensitized pretty fast. Like, what did you when Andy, when he's like, oh, all the kids in my class are getting wanked off, except for me, so he takes him to a prostitute. And how old did you say he was meant to be in that? He looks like 11.
I think he's like 10, 11, yeah.
That was shocking. I mean, obviously you're in the context of a show where the mum is dealing weed, so you're like, okay, it's not gonna be like a happy.
It's not a wholesome.
Childhood.
Yeah, it's not a wholesome show.
No, but I'm just like, that poor fucking kid. So many of the scenes with him in it, I was like, obviously he's not a real person. Like the actor is a real person, obviously, but like the character isn't. But I was like,
really well.
But I was like, when he's older and he looks back on this moment, how is he going to feel? Is it going to be incredibly embarrassing for him? Or, I don't know. Obviously, he's just a character, but those are the thoughts that go through my brain.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, you are right. Like Shane ends up really fucked up.
Yeah.
He ends up being a corrupt policeman who's got a massive alcohol problem.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, I
yeah.
didn't see the exact. I sort of saw
You didn't
just
see many scenes with him because he doesn't
no
have many sex scenes. He does have he loses his virginity with two girls
at
uh
the same time.
at the same time. They're like he gets to this new school and he thinks like not to be bullied because he was kind of bullied in his old school. He just like finds the most popular guy in school and like goes and like smashes him on the head with a tray, like a canteen tray, on his first day. So then everyone's really scared of him. And
Oh shit.
those two sort of emo girls go up to him and they're like, they wrote like his name on their stomach or something, and they're like pierced, and they're like really cool and edgy, and they decide to all have sex. And that's when he catches. Well, he doesn't actually catch anything, but you know the scene I sent you where they're like at the sex clinic. So yeah, Shane was pretty much doomed from the start because
Yeah, he didn't have much hope.
no, and the thing is, he was the one jogging with his dad when his dad died. So he's like 10-year old and seen his dad dying in front of him, which is not, you know, just gonna fuck up a kid. And well, fuck up anyone really. And
Yeah.
then straight after, like his mom starts dealing weed and he can tell, like for the longest time, you can tell that he can tell something's going on even though he doesn't necessarily know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And obviously I think he needed things that he did not get, let's say.
I mean, 100%. I that even if he didn't like witness his dad dying,
Yeah.
the fact that his mum is kind of like I can see. I watching this show, I can see the inspiration for a lot of your characters.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the other scene with him in when he's a little bit older, and Nancy and him. They need to go get her sister, but she's having sex with Andy.
Yes.
And they're just like sort of watching them waiting till they come to go in, and she's like, "Don't look," and he's just like full on perving. I enjoy seeing his evolution of just like
Yeah.
he just doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah, have I sent you the scene where Andy and Nancy's sister are having sex and Shane is like filming it on his phone to and threatens to show it to her husband?
I maybe.
Yeah, he very quickly loses his innocence. Are we ready to move on to Silas?
Yes.
We are always ready for Silas. Again, Silas starts off as a total teenager and grows into an absolute hunk.
Oh my god, when he's so hot when he has dark hair.
Oh, do you think? Oh, that's funny because I really don't like blonde guys, but I think he really doesn't suit dark hair. Like I think he's so much hotter as a blonde. Yeah, I think. What do you think? Because I feel like a lot of people have a bit of an issue with how sexualized Silas is from like again quite a young age. Like because he's 15 in the first season.
Right, and because the sex scenes that you see him with, or the ones that you sent me, was when he has sex with the deaf girl, and he pokes holes in the condoms.
Yeah.
Of which I was like, oh my god, look, they actually using condoms, and you were like, there's holes in the condoms.
Yeah.
Calm yourself. And isn't the story that she's about to go away, like she's moving to college?
Yeah, because she's like a year older than him or something.
Yeah, so it's like if you're gonna have sex, you're going to want to do it as much as possible. All the things, and you're a teenager, especially a teenage boy, so your hormones are like extra, extra crazy. And you're like, right, my hot girlfriend wants to have sex. Right, she's leaving soon.
Right, I have to try and get her pregnant. Which is an added
bonus.
Oh,
the logic is painful. But it does make sense for his character and the storyline. Like I don't think it's a difficult one because it is like you're watching TV, so obviously there's a sort of you're suspending your disbelief for a certain extent because you're watching characters. And obviously there is like a certain amount where you do get influenced by what you're watching. But there's in no way do they undermine his character.
No, and also it's not a show for kids anyway.
That's true too. Like you're not catering this to a young audience.
No.
And being like, oh, this is normal, kids. It's like, no. And it also, the tone of the show is that these people aren't always making the best life decisions.
No, actually, I think it's that these people are always making the worst life decisions.
I was trying to be kind.
So yeah, absolutely. Like it's not. But I think it was a good. I think Weeds, whilst not realistic in some ways, at least it does a lot of things right. And I think Silas having this kind of sex life was very realistic for a boy like Silas at his age.
Yes. Because I think it's more when he's in college. I really enjoyed the scene where he's in the shower with the girl. Like, that was a very comfortable scene.
Yeah.
Like, to see them talking and she's just naked after they've had sex and just, like, very chill with each other.
And they actually use a non-poked condom in the scene.
I know.
He's evolved and learned.
Yeah. He's learned that not to get girls pregnant that way.
It's so
It
much
does
better.
not. Yeah. It also doesn't mean they'll stay.
No, it does not.
But I did really enjoy the scene because it kind of captured quite a playful side of his personality, which I assume he has.
Yeah, he does. He does. It's a little bit sad because he goes to college for like 2 days or something and meets this girl, and then his mum makes them move again, and he really doesn't want to. But I think he's definitely had like a lot of fun. Like he's very playful, and he's also really attractive and gets with a lot of girls.
That does not surprise me. He has a very cute face. He is very well built. Like it doesn't seem like he'd have any trouble pulling women.
You know that scene where he's going down on the blonde girl from Modern Family?
Yeah.
They've put so much oil on his back. And I'm just, that's all I can think. Every single time I watch this scene, I'm just like, his back. I'm surprised I can't see my own reflection in it because it's so like, it's so oily.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not the worst thing to look at. Completely ripped men is not my thing either, but it's not the worst thing to just
No,
be
I'm
like,
not like feeling like I need to
is
turn the
nice.
TV off when he comes on screen.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we did forget to talk about something about Shane actually.
Oh, what did we forget?
The worst storyline that makes me laugh so much, and I'm so glad it's in it, but him masturbating to his mum's photos.
Oh, we forgot! Oh my god!
It's quite
'Cause
traumatic.
It is traumatic because he knows that they're photos of his mum, right?
I know, he does,
Because-
yeah.
And the fact that she doesn't properly freak out when Andy reveals it to her, he does it so gently.
Yeah.
And then her reaction is sort of like almost a non-reaction.
But I think that's just Nancy. She's just like that.
Exactly,
Like,
I
nothing
was just gonna
phases her that much.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it feels... Obviously, I haven't seen the whole show. But yeah, it just feels in keeping with her character of what I've seen. Of
Yeah.
just being like, oh, this is just another thing that happens in my life.
It's funny because Nancy only smokes weed like maybe 3 times in the entire show. Like she doesn't really smoke at all. But I feel like she's always acting like she's a little bit stoned. Like she's always... She
Yeah.
speaks quite slowly. She moves quite slowly. Like she's always acting like she's not there. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I
Off in
mean?
her own world.
Off in her own world, yeah. Anyway, yeah, we've forgotten to say that. So back to Silas. Did you notice anything about Silas, particularly from the scenes that I sent you?
I guess because you, like, bad decision making, but you also kind of
Did I
said...
say this to you?
Yeah, you were like... I think it was one... Because also, Michelle Trachtenberg is in everything.
Yeah, she
Like,
is.
fucking everything. As I've said, favourite movie of my childhood, Harriet the Spy. Got a big place in my heart. It does not live up to it. I've rewatched it recently. It does not live up to it.
Oh, that's sad.
It is sad, but anyway. Yeah, it was really interesting to see her in that because she's just in everything from the early 2000s. But that scene was particularly painful for me to watch because I kind of knew something bad was going to happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was also poking holes in the condoms. Not a good move, but it does just seem like he makes bad decisions and doesn't really know what's going on around him a lot of the time.
Yeah, he's so bad at business. And it's really heartbreaking the number of time he gets screwed over. Like, he tries and tries again and again and again, and it's just not. I think I'm not gonna say he's dumb because I don't think he is, but he's not the brightest. And when he finds his real dad, he's so annoyed because his real dad's a complete dummy, and he's like, "Well, that's why I'm so dumb." He's
It's
really
in the
annoyed.
genes.
Literally, he's so annoyed. But yeah, I think he's not very business savvy,
No.
and
But
he's very trusting.
yes, it does seem like he's very trusting. Like the whole scene with Michelle Trachtenberg was just like, here's our entire operation.
His mom literally on the next episode is like, what? Because he says like, well, I didn't tell her one thing that is completely irrelevant, and Nancy was like, yeah, you're probably waiting for the third date to say that to people or something. Like she's like, stop telling everyone everything. Like he's just so trusting and he's a bit foolish and doesn't really think about things, which again I think is like, he's very nice.
Yeah.
And I think also the way he's having sex with girls, you can tell that he's not being a dick. Like even though he's a very attractive young guy, you can tell that he's just, even when he's not in love with them, even when whatever, he's very attentionate. Like he pays attention to girls. He's not like whatever.
He's very affectionate. Like even
yeah.
like I think I rewatched this scene. I rewatched a couple of the scenes because how much for research purposes. You know, gotta get them in the old noggin for the podcast. The one in the shower with the girl. It was like a very when she does move on top of him, you can really tell how much he's enjoying it but he's really in it with her, and she's feeding off that too. So you can tell that he's an affectionate guy. Like he's not just there to like, all right, I'm cute, I know it, I'm gonna like have sex with you and then see you later.
But he's also got a dominating side to him, which I really like because I feel like that's not very expecting. Like with the mom, when he's like taking charge and being like, I'm turning 18 in 2 weeks and blah blah, and like kisses her, and then with the girl that he's like whipping.
Oh god, yes! I loved that scene. I love that scene
I didn't see
so
it coming
much.
at all. I feel like that's quite out of character for Silas, but in a good way, not in a they fucked up way, just in a ooh, this is interesting.
That was just such a good, like, the way he kept like taking the gag out of her mouth so she could talk and then being like, we're not talking about business, how dare you, and like putting it back in and just, yeah, to be fair, like thinking back to it, of the other scenes I've seen with Silas, that was very dominating of him, but it was a welcome addition.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, ooh, he's got layers, not like, wait, do they forget who they're writing for? Like it's not, it didn't feel out of character in a bad way. It felt like, oh, this is a side of him that I believe to exist, but that I also believe is not his predominant sign, so we've not seen it yet.
Yeah. It's like he's almost growing into himself in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just getting lost in that scene in my head.
I know. It's a good one.
It is.
Do you want to move on to Andy?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think of Andy from the scenes you've seen?
He really cares. He very much cares about Nancy. Very much cares about the women or like the people in his life, but makes terrible choices and decisions.
Again, that's a recurrent theme, I have to say.
It is a recurrent theme throughout the show. He's also seems to be very impulsive, I'd say. I do really like with the mum from Atypical. I was about to say sexual again. I was like, it's not the right show. It's not the show. It was really fun.
Nancy's sister.
Yes. It was really fun to see them just not being able to control themselves around each other. Like even when Nancy's in like a coma and they still like have sex.
I love this scene so much.
Oh my god, it's so funny. And she looks really hot in that. I can't remember the name of the character, Nancy's sister.
Jill.
And I also really enjoyed when Jill is at dinner with her husband, I think it is, and they end up going to have sex in the
her and Andy.
Yeah, her and Andy go to have sex in the toilets.
I absolutely love it.
It was a very enjoyable scene. Even from like the moment where Andy comes into the restaurant and she spots him, you know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's just a case of when. And it's fun. It's a fun scene. But so Andy is in love with Nancy, or should we wait until
We can get to it now if you want. We can use this as a transition to Nancy.
yeah, unless you have other things that you want to talk about with Andy.
Yeah, I'd say no. I think you got it. Like, I think Andy's a very because he moves in with them when his brother dies, and he's very young and is quite lost in life, and he's definitely pretty fucked up, and he does a lot of fucked up things. Like, people still hold it against that. Like, he's got a really good evolution, let's say. Like, in the first episode that he's in, he sees that Megan, Silas's girlfriend, the one who gets pregnant, is IMing Silas, and Andy pretends to be Silas and has cyber sex with her. And obviously he's a grown up and she's like 15 or whatever, which is not on. So a lot of people are like, Andy's the worst and don't look past this, which is like, obviously that was very bad, and it takes Shane to like get a hand job and blah blah blah. Like, I'm not saying he's the best, but I think first of all, he grows a lot. Like, there's no way that Andy past season, I'd say even 3, would do this kind of thing. And then I also think that he does have a bit of a side of him that's incredibly inappropriate and always like goes for just the weird thing. But I think it's part of his charm. Not having the cyber sex with the underage girl is not part of his charm. But the side of him that's very open and obviously he could be open and not do that. But he's very like, he's got a whole conversation. Again, I almost sent it to you and I was like, But Shane masturbates into socks and then flushes the socks, and that causes a lot of plumbing issues. And when Nancy finds out, she's just like, I can't have this conversation with him. That's like before the whole masturbating to her photos things, etc. And she asks Andy to do it, and it's kind of the first time Andy is taking on this father figure role. And the conversation, you can find it on YouTube. I might just send it to you because it's really, really funny. And it's Andy's such a colorful character. He's got this kind of theatricality to him that I really like, whilst being very natural. And I think he's just got, I don't know, he's very playful, and he's got all those crazy stories. Like, it feels like he's lived like 1,000 lives. I don't know if you remember when we were talking about Entourage, I said like, I feel like Vince is kind of in love with all the girls, which means he's in love with none of them. I feel like Andy's the same. He has sex with a lot of girls, but he genuinely cares about people. Like, he's just a caring person. But he's also young and single, and but to be honest, he's quite, there's a lot of storylines with Andy where the girl is the one to put an end to their relationship. Actually, I forgot to ask when we were on Silas, what's your favorite one of Silas's sex scenes?
Oh, it's definitely the one in the shower. The scene of him spanking that woman just came back into my head.
Yeah.
Is the spanking one your favorite?
Yeah, probably. Like, the shower is great, but yeah, he's got a lot of very sexy sex scenes. But yeah, the spanking one probably, because it took me by surprise. I liked it. Yeah. What's your favorite one of Andy's sex scenes?
For the pure wrongness, I kind of liked him with the sister.
In the hospital.
Yeah, but also in the restaurant. Yeah. What about you?
There's another one that I've not sent to you. That's so wrong.
Stop telling me there's ones that you've not sent them.
I know, I should have sent. I actually thought, oh no, I should have sent this one. They go back to the place that they grew up in, him and his brother, for a little bit. Andy realizes that there's still money on an account that his brother must still have. So he goes to the bank to withdraw the money, and he pretends to be Judah. But the girl who works there dated Judah, and she was like basically completely still in love with him, like however many years later. So she can tell that he's not Judah. So she tells him, but then she says that if they go on a date and he pretends to be Judah, then he can have the money, and they end up having sex with her calling him Judah the entire time. And also they're on the beach and there's like a homeless man next to them watching them.
Oh my god, that is...
Because, you know, him pretending to be his dead brother for this girl while having sex was just not enough.
No. Yeah, you just need another layer.
Yeah.
Just to, you know, thicken it up a little bit. Why don't you have Shane in there too?
Exactly.
Just, you know?
He's got a few scenes that I find sexy, but I do think the ones with Jill are good. And then...
Yeah. Because they've got real chemistry, and like
Yeah.
you can, it's like the extra level of like they shouldn't be doing this that makes it hot.
Yeah, Andy's probably the one that I've sent you the like not the least, but there's quite a lot of his sex scenes that you've not seen because he literally has so many. Yeah, do you want to move on to Nancy now that we've kind of
Let
there?
us move on to Nancy.
So what do you think of her from her sex scenes?
She likes to get spanked.
She definitely likes to get spanked. I found it really interesting because she's such a like she likes to have control and pretend like she's a top dog in her work, which she's not. She's kind of a shit drug dealer. Like she's not the best. There's actually like Shane and Silas and Andy are constantly telling her how shit she is at her job, but she likes to pretend like she's really good, or at least better than she is. But I'd say she's still quite clever in the way she handles things most of the time. And she likes to feel like she's in charge, but then obviously in sex it's the complete opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, like she really likes to be dominated in the bedroom. And adding to the list of scenes that you should find hot but find them hot anyway, the one where she's in the limo with the mayor and he spanks her. He just like, it's very aggressive and very much verging on assault, but there's just something really unexpected and hot about it. And you can tell like she obviously is taken aback by it, but there's a part of her that's enjoying it. Like all her sex scenes sort of devolve from her making some sort of bad decision.
Yeah, 100%. She thrives off her bad decisions. Like she's got such a taste for danger. She hates the idea of not being in danger, I think. Like those like the fact that she has like really good sex with the mayor after she sees his lion like eating the sheep or whatever. That's like that turned her on so much. She's like, this is horrible, but also can we please go have sex right now? Like it clearly does something to her. And then there's also, you know, when she's talking to that guy who seems super boring, who's a doctor, it's one of the latest sex scenes where she's like, she's trying to sell him medication and she ambushes him in his car. And I don't think she does find him attractive. And I think she's trying to be flirty because Nancy, I don't know if you could tell through the scenes, but always uses sex as a negotiation.
Yeah.
I think she was going to be flirting with him, but I don't necessarily think she was going to sleep with him initially. But I think the minute is like, what you're doing is illegal. Like, you shouldn't get involved with this company because they're bad news. Like, a nice girl like you, blah, blah. Suddenly she's like, how long have you got for lunch? And then they're like banging. And it's like, I genuinely think that him saying this, like, turned her on so much, the fact that she's doing something illegal again.
Yeah. It definitely does seem like she chases danger. Like I rewatched I rewatched the bar scene.
Of course you did.
To the point where I've now got that music that plays over in my head. Honest, gotta do that deep research for the podcast.
Yeah,
gotta be super professional.
Yeah, it's all for work.
But this scene is, she's pushing him to his limits to see when he's gonna crack, when he's like, is it gonna be that he's gonna have sex with her, or is it gonna be that he's gonna get really aggressive, or there's gonna be a bit of both? And like you can tell it's like palatable through the scene, especially when they're just like, he slaps her really hard, which yes, and then they sort of like scrambling for each other's heads.
Yeah.
Like it's a very visceral scene, where they cut, like, it's almost like they want to rip each other's skin off. But yeah, it is like a repeating pattern for her.
Yeah, because I think they've got very similar sex with the mayor.
Yes,
like,
yes,
like,
yes.
Like scratching her back really, really hard, and they're like, again, it's like her entire body is contorted to like push him away at the same time as she's having sex with him.
Exactly. It's like, no, I don't want this, but I do want this. It's like almost fighting two sides of herself. And I really enjoyed that bar scene. It's it
I
was very explicit.
It was very explicit for sure. I always forget how much of Mary Louise Parker, who plays Nancy, Nancy's body we get to see. She's naked a lot.
She's naked a lot. She's got really good boobs.
She's got really, really, really good boobs.
Like, yeah, really, really good boobs. Just perfectly perky and round, perfect size nipple. Just
perfect, like they're literally perfect. I agree.
They are.
I
I very much enjoyed seeing her boobs a lot.
Yeah, I thought because my top boobs.
Your top boobs, as opposed to your bottom boobs.
My top one boobs are probably Midge Maisel in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Of course.
She's got really good boobs. But when I saw Nancy's, I was like, actually, they're quite similar. And I think they might be fighting for first place.
Very interesting. Should have a boob off.
Yeah. Should we stop this conversation before I get cancelled?
Boob gate.
Yeah, I think Nancy's very like her sex scenes are definitely always have like a pattern, which is violence, and also they're usually a trade-off, or very often anyway.
Like the brother and sister that she has sex with.
Yeah.
I know it's very wrong.
It's so wrong.
It's so wrong. But when the sister comes back and she realizes that she's been having sex with her brother, and then she's like pushes the brother out and then wants to have sex with Nancy, but the brother like opens the door so he can watch. There's just so many levels of wrong.
Also, I find the brother very hot.
Yes, I don't find him attractive.
No, but he's very. I know exactly what you mean. Like, it's not. If I saw a photo of him, I'd be like, meh. But he's very attractive.
Yes. I don't know what it is.
Have you watched Orange Is the New Black?
I've been thinking about Orange is the New Black as we've been talking. I watched the first season, and then I think I stopped watching in the second season.
Do you remember the officer Pornstache? Like, he's a horrible dude. He's got this massive mustache. He kind of, like, he sort of abuses the inmate. That's the same actor.
Oh, no
He looks so different. I can't even make up that it's the same person. But because Genji Cohen, who created Weeds, created Orange is the New Black as well.
Oh, yeah, because as we've been talking, I've sort of been thinking, like, there's a few things that felt very similar.
Yeah.
Ah, very interesting.
And the humor is very, like, you recognize the style, I think.
And I would also say, like, there's a lot of sex in Orange is the New Black as well, but a lot of it is very, like, both explicit, unexpected, and there is some violence there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that I felt similarities between the shows.
No. There you go. That's actually really impressive that you found similarities before knowing that it was the same person who wrote both. That really shows how she's got a very distinct style, which obviously she doesn't need my approval because she's a genius with lots of TV shows and probably doesn't care what I think of her, but I'd like to give it to her anyway. Well done, Genji. But yeah, to go back to Nancy, I just think her sex scenes are very interesting, and I think, again, as we always say, this podcast comes because we do think sex scenes are necessary because they do show us things about the characters like they show the characters to a different light. And I think Weeds did a really good job at utilizing the sex scenes in a very clever way that actually shows you things about the characters.
Definitely, because again, as someone who's just watched the show through the sex scenes, like, I feel like their scenes are very distinct from each other. And you really, like, especially with Nancy, I feel like I really do know her because she uses sex a lot to get what she wants, also to push people's boundaries, push people's buttons, and also that, like, the kind of interactions between all of them, like going back to the scene like where Andy and Jill are having sex and they need to go for whatever reason, and Nancy waits till they come to be like, we gotta go.
Yes, I was gonna mention this. I'm so glad you did.
Yeah, because it's like, I think it shows how they're so comfortable with each other as well. Like, they're so unfazed. Like she's like, oh, we're just gonna wait here. All right, you've come. We've got to go.
But also,
And
I
it's
think
like,
it shows how much she appreciates sex herself.
yes, because she's like, I waited for you guys to come before I came in. Like, at least I
Be
gave you
thankful,
that.
like, yeah.
Yeah, like that. It also it just shows this level of like comfortability and intimacy where you know that the characters have known each other for a long time. You know they've been through a lot of stuff.
Well,
And
I
like,
mean, yeah, same.
no, it's just saying it's something you really appreciate about it.
Yeah, I mean, the scene where Andy has to like suck on basically she has to breastfeed on Andy.
Yes. And she's
I
like,
love
why did
that
you
scene so much.
swallow?
I love that scene so much, and again, it does show their whole dynamic is so fucked up, but in a very in a way that I really enjoy watching.
Yes.
But I think with Nancy also, as well as her taste for danger.
I love your mispronunciation of words
Speak
tonight.
Danger, because a lot of people are like talking about what would she have been like when she was with her husband, because that's kind of the only time she seems to have been happy. Like, I definitely don't think that she's loved anyone like she loved Judah. She says that when people are like, the calm before the storm, like, she was like, the storm I can handle, it's the calm that I'm like bad at.
Yeah.
And I think it's because obviously her husband dies. So at the start of the show, he's already dead, but he died like maybe like a couple of weeks before or something.
Yeah.
I think, you know, when someone that you're very close to dies, everything feels a bit crazy, and obviously you're in disbelief, but people are coming up to you all the time. Like, there's a bit of an effervescence in a really bad way, obviously, but like, you're busy. But then imagine like going back to routine life where everything goes back to normal, except it's just not there. So it'd be like just her making food for the kids, and it's just like normal life, but it's not there. And I feel like Nancy couldn't have handled this, which I think is why, because there's loads of other jobs she could have taken than weed dealer. Like, there was no reason why she had to deal drugs to make money. Like, sure, it's like,
Yeah.
you make a lot of money fast or whatever, but she could have done loads of other things, and she does do a lot of other things throughout the show, and she still always chooses to do drug dealing instead. Like, it's a choice, it's not like she had to. And I think it's because everything else, like having normal life without Judah in it, is just inconceivable to her. So I think she constantly keeps that completely chaotic lifestyle because she doesn't want to have a life that looked like the one she used to have. That's my opinion anyway. I have no idea whether that's true or not.
I mean, it is like a very like subconscious pattern, but I also get this sense from her interactions with Jill that they've always kind of had a chaotic upbringing.
Yeah, because their mom was like an alcoholic and their dad was like also a mess. Like, they definitely had a chaotic upbringing.
Yeah.
I also really love the sex scene that she has with the rabbi. That's unrelated to anything, but I just felt like I wanted to say it. I think the rabbi is really attractive.
He is, and it's so weird to hear him talk about the Torah and stuff, and but also in a sexy context.
Yeah,
because you can tell she's like really turned on by it, because obviously it's the wrongness again.
Yeah.
And I also feel like she likes to push the limits of like good people as well, to see how much she can get them to sway onto her side, which is what it feels like with the rabbi.
Yeah. What's your favorite Nancy sex scene?
It's the one in the bar.
The one in the bar. Fair.
Oh.
Mine's, yeah, go on.
I was going to ask you which one's yours.
Mine's the one where, again, it's just because of how wrong it is, but mine's the one when she has sex with the brother just after she has sex with the sister. Well,
I also really enjoyed that scene. I
just think it was a really good one. Like, he's very hot. And
it was so hot, especially when she goes to take that bag and he's like, absolutely not. Yeah. And obviously the sister's there in the other room, and I know you have a weird thing for that. Since you as in the TV show you, not since
since my life. Yeah, it's funny because while I was watching it, I was like, that's always been my favorite weed sex scene. And as I was watching it, I was like, oh no, this is just like 40 with Love and Joe all over again.
Literally, except
Joe... 40 hasn't just had sex with Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that adds again. Weeds always has to add a layer. It's like it's already bad enough as it is, but it's like no, let's make it a tiny bit worse.
Yeah, let's just add another layer on thick.
Oh, I'm absolutely obsessed with the scene where it's not a sex scene, but the scene when she's going on a date with her boss, but she's wearing like the wire because they're trying to like get him, and she arrives and Dimitri's there, and then his sister's there, and his sister like kissing her in front of like the kids.
Yeah.
And also Dimitri grabbing her ass in front of her date, just to like being super territorial, which you just know turns her on so much that he did that.
Yes. I mean, that whole scene was just a bit of a shit show. It was quite painful to watch. I was just like,
I know. I love every single second of it. I love this show so much. If I write anything half as good as this, I'll be super happy. Like, it's just so, it's so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your favorite sex scene in the entire show that you've seen?
It's a difficult one, but actually, I would say I really enjoyed the one of Andy and Jill having sex, and then Nancy and Shane be like looking in and being like, "We need to wait until you've finished."
It's a really good sex scene. Also, the sex looks really good.
Yes, I really enjoyed it because I felt like you learn a lot about their dynamics and their like weird dynamics, like the weird level of intimacy that they have between all of them, and also like they're just the pure animalistic desire between Andy and Jill that is nothing beyond them just like wanting to rip each other's clothes off.
Yeah.
And then you've got like Shane just not even like caring anymore of, oh yeah, this is just happening. I'm watching my uncle and and my aunt having sex, and my mum's just
at least this time he's not filming it.
And then Nancy just being like, well, at least I waited for you to come. Like, I think there's just also, so much in it.
Add the layer of this, then the reason she goes and interrupts them is because they have to go because someone has just killed the guy who was bodyguarding her.
Oh shit.
So she's like, we're literally in danger of dying right now, so let's go. But I'm still gonna wait for you to come because some things are priorities.
Yeah. I mean, that's just another layer that is just makes that scene great.
Yeah. That is actually an amazing scene, I have to say. My favorite sex scene is still her and Dimitri when the sister is asleep, but it's a really, really good one.
It is a really good one. I would have said the bar scene, but that's a bit too predictable for me.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that, I have to say.
I wanted to throw a curveball.
We do love that. How hot is the show?
I mean... I would say really, really hot because I've just seen the sex scenes.
Yeah, but I think with Entourage, you did, even though you just saw the sex scenes, you could still kind of tell. And also because in Entourage, they always had like comedic lines during the sex scenes that kind of took the sex scenes away. And there was a lot of scenes where it's like you understand they have sex, but you don't see it, even though there are some very explicit scenes. Like, I think you were still able to judge. And I think you probably can tell that this is maybe like
this is way
up,
definitely, because there's a lot of explicit sex scenes and a lot of like, I guess, violent ones, but just like that have more of a violent nature to them.
Yeah.
So it just, I feel like that also fits in with the tone of the show, probably being about drugs and such.
Definitely.
So I maybe say like an 8 or 9.
I'm gonna go all in and give it a 9.5 because it's just got so much sex and it's often sexy sex, and
that's what we like on Sexy Sunday. We like some sexy sex.
We like some sexy sex, and even when they're not having sex, they're often talking about sex, and I think that's definitely, it's a very sexy show.
Yeah. When you said you were going all in, I thought you were gonna go for a 10. And
I kind of hesitated. I don't know. Should I give it a 10? I don't know.
I mean,
I feel like if I give it a 10, like, ooh, I'm gonna give it a 10 just for the sake of it. No, but it is really sexy and it is my favorite show. It deserves a 10. I'm giving it a 10.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Yay! What are we talking about next time?
Ooh, are we doing Boogie Nights and Lovelace?
Yeah.
Ooh,
and Deep Throat.
Yes. Yeah, we're doing a wider conversation about porn in sex and sex scenes. Me too.
Yes.
An excuse to watch some pornographic stuff. Oh, how
How are we
terrible this
going to
podcast.
handle this? It's going to be horrible. Oh my god.
Oh, that's so terrible.
What a nightmare. Not our fault. All right, cool. Well, see you next time.
See you next time.